Hello everybody and welcome back to another My Porch Prints tutorials. This is Kyra and today we are continuing on with our blue and ivory junk journal tutorial series. Now real fast, just to get this out of the way, there is a really intense windstorm going on outside, so if you hear a bunch of banging in the background, that's what that is. But anyway, for today's video, we've already gone through in previous series and we created the signatures for our journal, did a little decorating there, as well as the cover and spine. And I'm kind of taking inspiration from the spine and cover for our pockets that we're going to be decorating today, kind of sticking with that lace window theme. So I've already gone ahead and grabbed all of the ephemera from the main junk journal kit, the blue and ivory journal kit that we have in our shop. And I'm going to be going over that with some distress ink and then sort of organizing everything into sections just to kind of make it easier for me to find what I'm looking for. So I'm going to do that really fast here. And you can see I've sort of laid everything out now in piles. So I've got like ephemera and I've got pockets and things like that. I've also got these large tags that are from the large fussy cut tags kit that we have linked down in the description box below, and these are going to become more like tuck spots and things like that, while these circles here are going to become actual pockets that we're going to do a little bit of decorating on today. So I'm going to just do a little bit of prep work here. I grabbed some of my ephemera tags, like these little cards here, and then I've grabbed these pockets as well as some of these smaller tags, these little decorative tags, and I'm going to take those to my sewing machine and just add a little bit of a zigzag stitch around the border of these just to give them a little bit more texture and detail. On this one I actually didn't really love the way it looked when it overlapped with the text, so I decided not to do it on this butterfly card, but that's entirely up to you. You can stitch or not. It's just, a little extra fun something you can do to decorate. Alright, so now that I've kind of shown you what that looks like, we're going to move on and just kind of sort out the actual pieces that I'm going to be using for today's video. So here's what all of those look like laid out. I've gone ahead and grabbed these large tags here. They look kind of like this. And these actually have 4 matching pockets that go with them. So I've grabbed all 4 tags and all 4 pockets, and we're going to be kind of decorating and assembling these today, as well as I've got some of the circled tags, and I've also taken one of the envelopes. I know it's not technically a pocket, but we're going to add a lace window to that, as well as a little bit of decorating on some of our more basic pockets that come with the kit. And most of our kits come with these pockets, so even if you're not using the blue and ivory, you should be able to find pieces that are very similar. So to begin, I'm going to be taking some of these smaller buttons I have, and I've got a little bit of this blue thread that came that I used on the front cover. So I'm just going to kind of wrap those around the center of my buttons. I know it's a really small minor detail, but sometimes those details add up and they look really nice in the end. So I'm just doing that for me. You don't have to. And I'm going to take a little bit of this ribbon that I have from Walmart, and I'm just going to kind of cut a portion of it that goes horizontally along the pockets. And using a little bit of Fabri-Tac glue, I'm going to just glue that down and add one of the buttons right in the center like this. And you can see with the stitching and the lace in the button, it's really simple, but it adds just a little something to these pockets, makes them a little bit more decorative. And I'm going to do the same thing with these pockets, just using a slightly different ribbon. This is the same one I used on the spine of my journal, and I kind of like to take, details from the outside of my journal and try to bring it inside, just to make everything feel a little bit more, homogeneous, just kind of match everything to one another. Alright, and next I'm going to be grabbing those 4 pockets, and I'm actually just using my ruler since it's 1 inch in diameter, and I just kind of traced around it to kind of get this window shape here. You can make that window any shape you want, use anything you want to trace around to get that shape. This is just how I did it. And once you've cut out this little window portion, we're going to be adding a little bit of lace here to just kind of make it like a see-through lace window, again, to match our cover. So I'm going to be grabbing some of this ribbon from Celebrate It. I think this is also from Walmart.com, I believe. And I'm just going to be cutting some portions that are slightly larger than my window, and I'm going to be kind of trying to center them in that window here. So taking a little bit of my Fabri-Tac glue again, and just going along the perimeter of that window like this. and then adding our little strip of ribbon to the back of the pocket. And again, trying to kind of keep things a little bit centered. This is really going to depend on the type of ribbon you use, but just kind of find where you think it looks nice to you. And then I'm going to snip off any extra I have here. And this is what those kind of look like when they're done. And make sure that you save those little window portions that you cut out. You can actually use these for decorating your journal later, like little labels and things like that. And in your pocket, you can add anything you want, but you can see it's got kind of a see-through effect, which is sort of neat. Pretty simple. And again, you can leave these as is, or you can do a little bit of further decorating. I decided to grab some stick-on pearls and stick those around the border. And this was a little bit more trouble than I expected. They didn't fit 100%, like the spacing wasn't perfect. I'm not quite sure what I could have done about that, but I mean, overall, I think it still looks okay. It just kind of bothers my mind a little bit that it's not perfect, but you know, it's okay. I still think it looks pretty as is. But because it was a bit of a pain, I wanted to try something just a little bit different. So I'm grabbing some of these like pearl stickers. These were a little bit more expensive, but I just wanted to give it a shot here because these come in like a single strip of like an already kind of detailed pattern. So it's a little bit easier to get them straight, you know, and perfectly spaced, but these are really sticky, like really, really sticky. It took me a while to actually get them where I wanted them to be and get them stuck down without them sticking to my fingers. But once that was done, I just added a little bit of these little mini pearls along the side, just like this. And this is kind of how that one turned out. So you can sort of decide for yourself which one you like better if you want to try this. But if maybe you don't have pearls and pearls aren't really your thing, I also decided to try making kind of like a little border with this cord that I have. Now, I ran out of the cord that I used on the actual cover, and so this one was a bit, I guess, curly and frayed, so it was a little bit harder to work with. So I kind of had to just, you know, add the glue and press the border around until it was kind of the right shape. And then where the ends meet was kind of messy. So I decided to grab one of my little like ribbon bows that I have and just kind of glue that right there to sort of hide that space. All right, so you can kind of see what that looks like. If you have another idea, go for it. This is just something I wanted to try. So I think they turned out pretty cute. I'm happy with them. So this is kind of like what the lace window pockets look like. All right, now we can go ahead and move on here to something a little bit simpler. We're going to be grabbing those 3 pockets, and I'm just keeping it really basic. I'm grabbing a little bit of this like lacy trim here, and I'm just going to glue a portion to the back of each of those layers towards the top, just like that. And this is what they look like when you layer them all up. Again, you don't have to go crazy with decorating, just little details can, you know, really add to your overall journal at the end. All right, moving back over to those little lace window pockets that we made, I'm just going to glue them down to the larger tags, just like this. And of course, you don't have to do this. You could glue these right into your journal and use those large tags for something else. This is just, again, what I'm doing. And taking these tags that go with it, I'm going to use like a hole punch and just punch out the top with the hole punch and then add an eyelet and some ribbon. So I've got this like light blue thin ribbon I'm going to be using here. So just folding it in half and adding it through the eyelet like this, creating a little loop, and I'm just going to put the loose ends right through the loop like this and tighten it just like that. And you can trim these down and tighten them just a little bit so that they kind of stick up like this. Or if you have a longer piece of ribbon, you can actually tie them into a bow like that. So whatever you prefer. And then they just go right in your little pocket like this. And there you go. You've got some decorative little lace window pockets. All right, moving on here to these little circular pockets. I picked ones that had like a very clear border. Got this kind of like darker inner line here. And we're going to be cutting that inner line out for 2 of them entirely. And then for the other one, we're going to leave kind of like a little space to kind of make a little hinge. So again, 2 of them we're completely cutting out. And then 1 of them we're going to leave a little space. So let me kind of show you what that looks like here. So I'm going to use an X-Acto knife for mine. I think it just makes the cutting a little bit easier. And here's one of the ones where I left like a small portion uncut. So again, we're kind of creating like a little door here. okay? If you've ever seen The Hobbit, it's like a little hobbit door. All right, and then with the actual hinge itself, we're gonna wanna fold that part back. So just be careful with this. You don't wanna accidentally tear it. Take your time and just kind of fold a little crease here. It doesn't have to be perfect, just kind of making that swinging door effect. And then you can see with this other piece, we cut out the portion entirely. So that's kind of like the difference between the two. And with the one with the door, I actually didn't print on the back of these. If I had, I'd save a little bit of time, but since I didn't, what I'm going to do is just glue a little bit of decorative paper onto the back of that little panel, cut it out, and then go around the edge with some distress ink to make it look a little more finished. And again, this is optional, you don't have to do this, but I'm going to just to, you know, make it look a little more finished and professional. And now on this portion here, directly across from like our little hinge spot, I'm going to use a micro hole punch and just punch a little hole right at the edge here, just like that. And then I'm going to take a brad and add that into that little hole that we punched. Now, don't flatten your brad too much. You want like a little space underneath the brad head because we're going to use a clasp to close this in our next video when we actually do the full decorating of the journal. Again, if it's a little too tight, it's okay. You can change it a little bit later and mess with it, but try to leave it a little bit loose. All right, and once that's done, we're going to set those aside and grab our two that we cut completely out. We're going to take the frames and I'm going to glue them down to a scrap piece of lace that I have. This is lace that we just picked up at a thrift store. Any sort of lace will do, just something kind of see-through here. And I'm just going to add glue all along the perimeter of these frames. And I added like a lid here so that I didn't accidentally get glue on my table. And I'm just going to glue that little frame down, trying to pull the lace kind of taut. If you watched my video where we did the lace window on the cover, you want to kind of keep the lace taut so that it's got like a nice effect and looks, you know, clean. And I'm going to sort of move my lace around as it dries just to make sure that it doesn't accidentally dry to the plastic here. All right. And then I'm going to do the same thing with my second frame. And then once it's glued like that, we can go ahead and cut them out. And this is what you're left with, two little lace windows here. And I'm going to grab the parts that we cut out of the center of these and add them back to their matching frame. And they're going to kind of make like a little, like a panel that we can add into the pocket. Now you don't have to use these. You can add anything you want to this lace pocket. You don't have to do it this way. This is just an idea to how to use the ephemera piece. So I'm going to be grabbing some of this ribbon that I got from Walmart again, and I'm going to cut a small portion of it. So mine ended up being probably around 4 inches, and I'm just going to kind of eyeball what I need here. Cut a piece like this, and then I'm going to use that same portion that we just cut to kind of measure out a second one for my other tab. We're going to be using these to make little pull tabs. So I'm going to cut another portion just like this. And then taking those two center pieces that we cut out, I'm going to grab a little bit more of that decorative paper, flip it over here, and we're going to take our little ribbon tab and we're going to glue these two ends together. Make sure that they're nice and stuck in place like this. And then again, taking some glue, I'm going to glue this down to my paper. And if I was smart, I probably would have glued it a little bit closer to the top of the paper so I had less to cut away. Oh well, it is what it is. And then I'm going to add glue all over the back of this large circular piece here, making sure that you get those edges really well. Glue, glue, glue. And then we're going to use this to kind of sandwich that little pull tab between this and the backing. So just like that. Check your orientation on this here. Got my roses right side up. And then we're going to cut those out, add a little bit of distress ink around the edge, and there you go. Now you've got these little panels that go inside of the lace window, and you can decorate the backs of these if you want, or use them for, you know, writing space or some other kind of decoration. I'm just going to leave mine blank for now. And they're going to go inside of our pockets when we glue them into the journal in the next video, just like this. And you'll have kind of these like little panels that you can pull out with the pull tab, just like that. All right. Cool, so grabbing some of our other circles that we have left over, I'm going to use this one here, the smaller one's kind of going inside the one that's slightly larger. And I want it to swivel like this, so I'm going to take a micro hole punch, and when I line them up, I'm just going to punch a hole right in the top, and taking one of those little brads that I have, I'm going to secure them together like this. And now we've got this front panel that swivels, and inside I decided I wanted a pocket, so I'm going to cut this circle in half like this, and adding glue just to the bottom half portion, trying to stay pretty close to the edge if I can. And then I'm going to just glue that down to the larger circle here on the inside. Bottom half just like this. And then you can go ahead and let that dry. And now you've got kind of like a little hidden pocket space. All right? So if you have that leftover half portion, you can go ahead and maybe add it to your journal later. You could make another swivel or something like that with these two leftover pieces. However you want to use them is fine. Just some different ideas here for these little circle ephemera pieces. Okay, and now we can move on to our final piece, which is this envelope here. I'm going to make another lace window. So taking a piece of lace ribbon that I like, I realized that the part where I want it to be see-through is probably about an inch. So I'm going to take my ruler and just kind of trace the borders of it like this. Again, this will probably depend on the type of lace you use, so make adjustments for whatever you're using. And once you have traced out the border like that, I'm going to open up my envelope and cut out that little window. All right, and then adding some Fabri-Tac along the border, I'm going to glue my ribbon right to the front of my envelope and then cut off any extra on the edges. And there you go. Now you've got this little pretty see-through panel here inside of your envelope. And for the back, I'm just taking this little ephemera butterfly I have from a different kit, adding some glue to the very bottom half of the butterfly, just the bottom half, you don't want any on the top. And I'm going to kind of line it up where the top half of the butterfly wings are kind of where the envelope edge is. We don't want to accidentally glue our envelope shut here. And then while that dries, I'm going to add a little bit of ribbon just for decoration onto the top of the envelope. And there you go, you've got this little kind of cute lace window and then a butterfly clasp in the back just like that. And there you go. All right, so quick, simple pocket decorating video. Now that we've got all of our pockets, in the next video, we're going to work on actually decorating our journal and finishing it up like entirely. So make sure that you like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.